Why did my husband file for divorce today, right after our perfect neighborhood BBQ? How did one joke about his job turn into papers handed to me in front of other people, like I was the problem on display? And why did he look calm, like he planned it, while I stood there trying to smile? My name is Undine Parker, and I lived on a clean little cul-de-sac where everyone watched everyone. The lawns were cut the same day. The cars were washed, even when it did not rain. People smiled in a way that felt like a test. I was 34, and I worked as a marketing coordinator for a local charity. It was not a glamorous job, but it sounded good when I said it fast. I knew how to make small things look big. I did it at work all the time, and I did it at home too. My husband Ethan was 36. He was a licensed electrician. He fixed panels, lights, and broken switches. He worked with his hands. He came home with dust on his shoes and a tired look in his eyes. I used to say I admired that. Later, I started to say it in a way that made it sound like less. That Saturday was the Whitmore's BBQ. Claudia Whitmore had planned it like a show. She sent the invite with a clean graphic and little icons of burgers and sparkling drinks. She asked everyone to bring a side dish, but she wrote it like a gentle order. I could already see the photos in my head. I could already hear the laughs, the clinking glasses, the little jokes that went around like coins. I woke up early and went straight to the kitchen. I made a list in my phone. I lined up the salad bowl, the fancy napkins, and the tray I only used for guests. I told myself I was doing this for our family. I told myself a good wife did these things. I still think I was right, at least in that moment. Ethan came in later than me. He looked half awake, like he had not slept much. He had been out late on an emergency call the night before. He set his work bag near the door and rubbed his face with his palm. He asked what time the BBQ started. I said it started at 2, and I said we needed to leave early because people noticed who arrived first. He said it was just a BBQ. I said that was the point, because just a BBQ was where people judged you the most. He asked why I cared so much. I said I did not care, but I said it in a way that meant I cared a lot. I watched him pour coffee into a mug that had a chip near the handle. We had nicer mugs, but he always picked that one. It made me feel like he did not respect the image of our home. He asked if I wanted him to change clothes. I looked at his old hoodie and said yes, because the neighbors dressed like they were always ready for a photo. He said he would shower after he checked the kids' bags. Sophie and Noah were still asleep upstairs. He went to the stairwell and called their names softly. I heard his voice change when he spoke to them, calm and warm. It should have made me feel safe. Instead, it made me feel like he was already complete without me. I opened the fridge and saw the list I had taped there. It was a strict list with neat lines. I had written fruit, drinks, extra sunscreen, and the nice serving spoon. I also saw a folder on the counter with the label Utilities. Ethan kept folders like that. He said it helped him feel organized. I used to tease him about it, but sometimes the neatness felt like a wall. While I cut strawberries, Ethan came back into the kitchen. He asked if I was upset with him. I said no, but I told him he moved too slow. I said he made us look like we did not have our lives together. He asked how fixing a late-night job made him look bad. I said he could have a better schedule if he had planned his career better. I knew it was a sharp thing to say. I also knew it landed. His eyes blinked once, then he looked away. He did not yell. That made me feel like I had to push more, like quiet was him refusing to fight for us. He checked his phone, and I saw a small calendar alert pop up for him. It said, "Meeting personal." He tilted the phone down fast, like it was nothing. I told myself it was probably work. I told myself it did not matter. Still, I watched him longer than I needed to. The kids came down in a rush. Noah asked if there would be hot dogs. Sophie asked if she could wear her new headband. I said yes to both. Ethan helped Noah with his shoes. Sophie looked at me and asked if I was happy today. I told her I was happy, and I smiled big. She stared at my smile like she was reading it. Donna, my mother, called while I was packing the cooler. She asked if we were going to the BBQ early. I said yes. She said the Whitmores were important people and we should not look plain next to them. I said I understood. When I ended the call, I felt the familiar pressure in my chest, like I was holding up a heavy box and pretending it was light. Kayla, my sister, sent me a selfie with her hair done and her lips glossy. She said she was excited to see everyone. She asked if Ethan was coming. I told her he would come, but I wrote it with an eye roll emoji. I liked making it a joke, because if I called it a joke, then I did not have to admit it was disrespect. Ethan loaded the car with the tray and the cooler. He moved careful, like he did not want anything to spill. He asked if I wanted him to carry my bag too. I said I could do it myself. I also made sure he heard my tone, like I was the one doing the heavy work of our life. As we walked down the street, the houses looked perfect. Fresh paint, new windows. The Whitmore's place had string lights already hanging, even in daylight. I saw people moving around the backyard, like they were setting a stage. I adjusted my blouse and held my chin high. Ethan walked beside me with the tray. He kept his eyes forward. Noah ran ahead and stopped to look at a lawn ornament. Sophie held Ethan's free hand. I wanted Sophie to hold my hand instead. I told myself it was because I loved her. But it was also because I wanted to be seen as the center. At the Whitmore's gate, Claudia greeted us with a bright smile. She touched my arm like we were close friends. She asked how I was doing. I said I was busy but thriving. She looked at Ethan and asked how work was. Ethan said it was fine and that he had a late call last night. Claudia made a face, like she could not imagine such a life. She said that sounded exhausting. I laughed too fast and said Ethan was always running around fixing little things. I called it a joke. I told myself it made him sound useful. I did not notice Sophie's grip tighten on his hand. We stepped into the backyard. There were people everywhere. A few phones were already out, taking pictures of the table set up. I saw Jenna Pike waving at me near the drinks. I saw Brent Whitmore standing by the grill in a clean shirt, like he was acting as host, not sweating like a real cook. Ethan set the tray down carefully. He asked where he should put the cooler. I pointed without looking, already scanning the crowd for who mattered most. Then my phone buzzed in my pocket. I did not need to check it to know the name behind the vibration. I still checked. I saw the preview message from Grant Hollis before I could stop myself. It said he was close and asked if I was alone yet. My heart beat fast, and I told myself that feeling meant I was alive. I slid my phone back into my pocket, and I looked up to see Ethan watching me, like he had noticed the movement, even if he did not know why. I stayed near the drinks table and acted like I belonged there. Jenna Pike came to me first. She asked if I loved my blouse. I said it was just something simple, but I held my shoulders back so she could see the brand tag peeking out. She nodded like she approved. Claudia floated around us like she owned the air. She asked if I wanted sparkling water or a cocktail. I said I could do either, because I wanted to sound easy and fun. I watched her look past me toward Ethan. She asked if he would help Brent at the grill. Ethan said he could, but he said it like a polite offer, not like he was excited. That small thing annoyed me. I wanted him to want it. I wanted him to fight for attention the way I did. When he did not, I felt like he was leaving me alone on a stage. I saw my phone buzz again. I kept it low and checked it fast. Grant had sent another message. He said he was almost there. He asked if I was okay. I told myself it was normal for someone to care. I told myself it was not cheating in my heart, because my heart felt ignored, at home. That was the line I used when I needed to sleep at night. Ethan walked toward the kids, who had found a corner with lawn games. Sophie was watching the older kids toss bean bags. Noah was running in circles, too close to the pool. Ethan told him to slow down. Noah kept laughing, and Ethan stayed calm. I noticed Ethan had put sunscreen on Noah's nose in a careful stripe. That care should have mattered to me more than it did. Brent called Ethan over to the grill. Ethan went, carrying a tray of burger patties, like it was normal work. Brent asked him something about the grill heat, and Ethan answered with a quick look at the coals. It was simple, steady, and practical. That was Ethan. Practical. Useful. Not impressive. Claudia came beside me again and asked what Ethan did exactly. I saw other faces turn. That was how this neighborhood worked. People gathered information like it was a hobby. I could have said it straight. I could have said he was a licensed electrician and ran his own schedule and kept our home safe. I could have said he worked hard and people trusted him with their houses. Instead, my mouth moved first. I smiled and told them he fixed wires and outlets and did little jobs. I added that he was great when something broke, like he was a helper, not a professional. Jenna laughed. Claudia laughed too. Someone else laughed, a little louder than needed. I felt the warmth of approval rise in me, and I chased it. A man I barely knew asked if Ethan made good money. I said he did fine, but I also said it was not like real corporate money. I glanced at Brent when I said that, like I was sharing an inside joke. Brent smiled in a tight way. Claudia's eyes lit up, the way they did when she smelled a story. Ethan looked over. He saw the circle around me. He saw the way my hands moved when I spoke, like I was explaining a joke. He did not storm over. He did not demand I stop. He just watched with a flat face, then looked back at the grill. That made me feel safe for 1 second. Then it made me feel angry again, because I wanted him to react. I wanted proof that he was the difficult one. Jenna said Ethan seemed quiet. She asked if he was always like that. I said he was quiet because he felt insecure around high achievers. I acted like I was explaining him kindly. In my head, I told myself I was helping them understand him. In truth, I was building a cage around him with pretty words. Kayla arrived a little late, holding a store-bought dessert like it was a trophy. She hugged me and asked if everything was fun. I told her it was great and that everyone was so classy. She looked at Ethan by the grill and raised her eyebrows. I told her he was doing his thing and that it was fine. Kayla asked if I was being nice. I said I was being honest. She made a face like she wanted to say more, but she stopped. Claudia's friend, a woman named Talia, held up her phone and asked for a group picture. People leaned in. I angled myself toward the center. Ethan stayed near the grill, half outside the frame. Claudia said we should include him. I said he was busy working, and I laughed again, like it was cute. Talia posted the photo right away. I saw the screen light up as she typed a caption. She tagged our street name and added little fire emojis for the grill. It looked like a perfect day. I watched Ethan wipe his hands on a paper towel. He walked toward me with a plate for the kids. He asked me quietly why I kept calling his work little jobs. He did not sound angry. That was the worst part. He sounded tired. I told him he was being sensitive. I said everyone was joking. I said he always tried to make me feel guilty for having friends. I said it like I was the injured one. He asked if I knew how it sounded. I said it sounded like the truth. I said respect followed results, and I had results. I did not even notice how cruel that was as it left my mouth. I only noticed the way his eyes changed, like a light dimmed behind them. Sophie came closer and asked if Dad was mad. I told her Dad was fine, and that he just needed to relax. Ethan looked down at Sophie and told her she could go get dessert. Sophie did not move right away. She kept looking between us. Noah tugged Ethan's shirt and asked for ketchup. Ethan nodded and went to get it, like he was still trying to keep the day normal for them. My phone buzzed again. This time, Grant had sent a short message that said he was in the front and asked where I was. I felt a quick rush, like I had an exit door in my pocket. Claudia came up beside me and asked if I wanted to join her for a quick cheers video. She said it would be cute for the neighborhood page. Jenna clapped like it was a big idea. I said yes fast because I did not want to look boring. We held our cups up. Claudia started talking about community and success and good people. I smiled wide. Jenna leaned in close. Someone in the back called for Ethan to join. I turned my head and waved at him like he was a prop. Ethan did not come. He stayed with the kids. He looked at me once, then looked away. Claudia finished the video and asked Ethan again, more loudly, if he was too busy with his wiring. People laughed. It was a small laugh, but it was sharp. I laughed too. I made the laugh bigger, like I was in control of it. I told myself if I laughed first, then it could not hurt me. Ethan walked over then, not fast, not angry. He told me he was taking the kids home because Noah was getting tired and Sophie looked overwhelmed. He asked if I was coming. I said I would come soon, after I helped clean up a bit. I said it like I was being responsible. He looked at me like he did not believe me. He did not argue. He just nodded once. Sophie hugged me quickly, like she was checking if I was still her mom. Noah barely looked up, focused on his ketchup. Ethan took their hands and walked them toward the gate. As they left, I felt eyes on me. Claudia touched my arm and asked if Ethan was always so moody. I said he was under a lot of stress and that he took it out on me sometimes. I said I was used to it. I said it with a soft smile, like I was brave. The truth was simpler. He had stopped playing the role I wrote for him. I watched his car pull away. Then I turned back to the crowd, lifted my cup, and told myself I had saved the day. My phone vibrated again in my pocket, and I knew exactly who it was. On Monday, I went to work like nothing happened. I walked into the open plan office with my coffee and my busy face. I acted like I was in control. My co-workers were already talking about the weekend, and I knew the BBQ story would spread fast. Jenna Pike worked 2 rows over from me, and she leaned in as soon as I sat down. She asked how the BBQ went. I said it was fun, but I also said Ethan had been off again. I said he got weird when he felt judged. I said it like I was being fair. Jenna asked if he yelled at me later. I said he did not yell, but I said silence could be a kind of punishment. I watched Jenna's eyes widen. I could see the story forming inside her. I felt a small relief, like I had put my heavy box down and handed it to someone else. My manager, Lisa, walked by and asked if I could join a short meeting later. I said yes and smiled. I told myself my life was stable because my calendar was full. That was my trick. If I stayed productive, then no one could say I was messy. Around noon, I saw a new tag on my phone. Claudia had posted more BBQ photos. One had me holding a cup and smiling big. Ethan was in the background, half turned away, holding Noah's plate. The caption said something about great neighbors and good vibes. People commented with hearts and laughing emojis. I stared at it longer than I should have. I opened the comments and saw a joke about the wiring guy. I knew it was about Ethan. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself Ethan needed thicker skin. I told myself a man should not be so fragile. Those thoughts helped me breathe. Then I saw my own reflection in my black phone screen for a second, and I did not like it. That afternoon, Grant messaged me. He asked if I was okay after the BBQ. I said I was fine, but I said Ethan had embarrassed me again. I wrote it like Ethan was the one who caused trouble. Grant answered fast and told me I deserved better energy. I liked the way he said things like that. He did not know our real life. He only knew the version I fed him. When my shift ended, I stayed at my desk. I did not stay to work. I stayed because I did not want to go home to Ethan's quiet face. I told myself I was being responsible. I sent 2 emails on purpose, just so I could say I stayed late. At 6:20, Ethan called. I watched the phone ring. I let it ring twice longer than normal. Then I answered. He asked where I was. I said I was still at work. He asked why I did not text. I said I was busy and he should not expect instant updates. He said the kids had dinner already and Noah kept asking for me. I said he could handle dinner one night and stop acting like I was failing. He went silent for a moment. Then he asked if we could talk later, calmly, after the kids slept. I said we could, but I said it like I was doing him a favor. I left the office and tapped my badge at the building door. The little green light flashed, and I told myself that counted as proof. I walked to the gym nearby, the one with big windows and clean machines. I checked in at the front desk. The receptionist smiled and said my name. I smiled back, like I belonged to a better life. While I walked on the treadmill, I watched my phone. Grant asked if I wanted to meet for a drink. I said maybe. I told myself meeting for a drink was not cheating. I told myself I needed someone to listen. I told myself Ethan had forced me into this lonely corner. After the gym, I changed in the locker room and took a photo in the mirror. I did not post it, but I saved it. I liked seeing myself look strong. I liked seeing a version of me that did not need anyone. I got home around 8:30. The house was too quiet. The kitchen light was on, but the living room was dark. I smelled soap, like the dishes were already done. I hated that, because it meant Ethan did not need me. Ethan was at the table with his laptop open. A spreadsheet was on the screen, but I could not see the title. I saw columns and rows and neat numbers. There were also 3 folders stacked near him. One was labeled Household, one was labeled Bank, one was labeled Utilities. He used to leave his work tools around, but now everything looked placed on purpose. He looked up when I walked in. He asked if work was hard. I said it was busy. He asked if the gym helped. I said yes, because I needed to keep my head clear, since someone in this house could not handle stress. I meant him. I said it like a joke, but it was not. He asked if I saw Claudia's posts. I said yes and shrugged. He asked if I understood why the jokes hurt. I said he was choosing to be hurt. I said he could decide to laugh like everyone else. I said it in a calm voice, like that made it true. He asked if I liked it when people laughed at him. I said I liked it when people felt relaxed around us. I said he made everything heavy. He asked if I would stop doing it. I said I would stop if he stopped acting embarrassed by his own life. I said he was twisting it, like he was calling himself small. Ethan closed the laptop slowly. I heard a soft click. He asked if I was happy. I said happiness was not the point, and that adults did what they had to do. He asked if I still respected him. I said respect followed results, and I had been carrying the image of our family for years. I said it like a fact, like I had a report to prove it. He looked at me for a long second. Then he nodded once. He did not argue. That lack of reaction made my stomach tighten. I wanted him to fight so I could call him cruel. Instead, he just stood up and walked toward the hallway. I followed him with my eyes. He went to the kids' rooms. I heard his soft voice as he checked on them. He asked Sophie if she brushed her teeth. She answered quietly. He asked Noah if he wanted water. Noah said yes. Ethan moved like a man doing a routine. When he came back, he had his phone in his hand. I saw a missed call with no caller ID. He swiped it away without looking at me. He set the phone face down on the table, like he did not want me to see it. That made me feel watched, even though he was not watching me. I went upstairs and took a long shower. I stood under the water and told myself Ethan was punishing me with silence. I told myself my choices were just reactions. I still think I was right to protect myself, but even then, a small part of me knew I was protecting a lie. Later, when Ethan went to the garage to take out trash, I heard a printer start up down there. It spat one page, then stopped. When he came back inside, there was no paper in his hand. I asked what he printed. He said it was nothing, and that the printer misfired. He said it with the same calm tone he used on the kids. The next day, Grant messaged again. He asked if I was free that night. I said I might be. I told Ethan I had a work thing after hours. He asked what kind of work thing. I said it was networking, and he should be glad I cared about our future. He did not tell me no. He did not tell me I could not go. He only asked what time I would be home. I said I did not know. He nodded, like he was writing it somewhere inside his head. That night, I went to an upscale wine bar 2 towns over. The lighting was low, the music was soft, and everyone looked like they were pretending not to look at each other. Grant was already there. He stood up when he saw me, and he smiled like I was a prize. He asked if Ethan was still being difficult. I said yes. I said Ethan acted like a victim because he could not handle jokes. I said Ethan made me feel trapped. Grant said I deserved someone who understood me. I let that sentence settle in my chest like a warm drink. My phone lit up with Ethan's name at 9:05. I flipped it over. I told Grant it was nothing. I told myself it was not cruel to ignore one call. I told myself Ethan would be fine. When I finally checked my phone in the bathroom, I saw 2 missed calls and 1 message from Ethan. He said Noah had a bad dream and asked if I could call for 1 minute. My throat tightened for a second. Then my pride came back, sharp and fast. I told myself Ethan was using the kids to pull me back into his control. I did not call. I washed my hands and walked back to my table like I had made a strong choice. When I got home that night, the house felt like it was holding its breath. The hallway light was off. The kids' nightlight was on upstairs, a soft glow under their doors. Ethan was not in the living room. I heard water running in the bathroom, then stopping, like someone trying not to make noise. I walked into the kitchen and saw 2 clean mugs on the counter, far apart, like they were strangers. My stomach tightened at that small detail. I told myself it was childish. I told myself Ethan was doing it to make me feel guilty. Ethan came in a minute later. He asked if my work thing went well. I said it did. He asked why my hair smelled like smoke and perfume. I said the bar was crowded and people stood too close. He nodded once, slow, like he was placing my words into a box. He said Noah had a bad dream and asked why I did not call back. I said I did not see the phone. He asked how I missed 2 calls. I said my phone was in my bag and I was trying to be present. I said it like I was a good person. He did not argue with me. He only said the kids missed me. That should have hurt me. Instead, I felt irritated because he was making me sound like the bad one without raising his voice. We went upstairs. Ethan did not follow me into the bedroom. He walked down the hall toward the guest room. I asked if he was really going to sleep there again. He said he wanted rest and peace, and he did not want to fight in front of the kids. I told him he was being dramatic. He said he was being careful. In the morning, I found Sophie already dressed, sitting at the edge of her bed. She asked if Dad was mad at me. I said Dad was just tired. She asked why he slept in the other room. I said he needed space because he got stressed easily. She looked down at her hands and said she did not like it. I told her it was fine and that grown-ups handled things. She did not look convinced. Noah ran into the hallway with his socks half on. He asked if we could all have breakfast together. I said yes fast, because I did not want that question to land. Ethan came out of the guest room with a neat shirt on, like he had already planned his day. He asked the kids what they wanted to eat. Sophie said toast. Noah said cereal. Ethan made both without speaking to me much. I tried to talk like everything was normal. I asked Ethan what jobs he had that day. He said he had 2 service calls and then paperwork. The word paperwork stuck in my head. He used to hate paperwork. Now he said it like it was part of his body. After breakfast, I went to the garage to grab a reusable bag. When I opened the door, I smelled a faint toner smell, like the printer had been used. The printer sat on a shelf by Ethan's tools. A blank sheet of paper rested in the tray, like it had come out and been left there on purpose. I stared at it too long, then told myself I was imagining things. Ethan's keyring lay on the bench. There was a new key on it, shiny and plain. I asked him what it was for. He said it was just a spare. I asked a spare for what? He said for something practical, and he asked why I cared. I said I was just asking. He nodded, and his face stayed calm. Later, I went to the supermarket after work. I pushed the cart through the bright aisles. and tried to feel normal. I grabbed fruit, bread, and snacks for the kids. At checkout, the total was higher than I expected. I tapped my card, and the machine took longer than usual. The cashier smiled in that polite way and said sometimes it lagged. My phone buzzed. It was Ethan. I answered, irritated before he even spoke. He asked if I was at the store. I said yes. He asked if I could pick up a specific medication for Noah's cough. I said I would, but I said it like it was a burden. He said thank you. Then he asked if we could talk about our budget later, because the account had several transfers he did not recognize. My throat went tight. I asked what he meant. He said he just wanted clarity. I said it was my money too, and he was not my boss. He said he was not acting like a boss. He said he was trying to protect the household. I told him he was paranoid. I told him he was trying to trap me with numbers because he could not win in real life. The cashier handed me the receipt, and my hands shook just a little. I folded the receipt fast and shoved it into my bag like it was shame. When I got to the pharmacy queue, I saw Claudia Whitmore near the vitamins. She waved, like we were best friends. She asked how I was. I said I was busy, as always. She asked where Ethan was, and I said he was working, like he always did. She smiled and said she hoped he was not too sensitive about the BBQ jokes. I laughed like it was no big deal. I said Ethan took everything personally. I could see another woman nearby listening. I felt that familiar rush of control. If I spoke first, I owned the story. That week, the school pickup line felt different. Sophie walked out slower than normal. She looked at me, then looked behind me, like she expected Ethan to appear. When she got into the car, she asked if Dad would come to the next school event. I said yes. She asked if Dad still lived with us. I said of course he did, and that he was just tired lately. A mother from Sophie's class, Marlene, leaned into my window and asked if everything was okay at home. She said she saw Ethan leaving the BBQ early. Her tone was concerned, but her eyes were hungry. I smiled and said Ethan got overwhelmed in crowds. I said he was intense and needed things his way. Marlene nodded like I confirmed what she already wanted to believe. That evening, Ethan picked up the kids from the car in the driveway. He asked how Sophie's day was. Sophie said it was fine, but her voice was small. Noah asked Ethan to play a game. Ethan said yes after dinner. Ethan did not look at me when he said it. He looked at the kids. After dinner, I suggested we take a family walk by the riverside promenade, like it was my idea to heal us. Ethan agreed, but he stayed a step behind. The river air was cold and clean. Couples passed us, holding hands. I noticed Sophie walking closer to Ethan than to me. Noah skipped between us, trying to connect the space like a bridge. I asked Ethan if we could reset. He asked what that meant. I said it meant he stopped acting like I was his enemy. He said he did not want an enemy. He said he wanted stability for the kids. I told him stability needed flexibility, and he needed to stop watching me. He asked what I meant by watching. I said the calls, the questions, the budget talk. He said those were normal questions for a married couple. I said not when the husband used them like a leash. He stopped walking for a moment. He asked if I even heard myself. I said I heard myself clearly. I said he made me feel small, and I was done being small. We walked again. The kids ran ahead to a bench. Ethan's phone made a soft beep in his pocket, like an alert. He glanced down, then put the phone away without answering. He did not share it. That silence felt like a door closing. When we got home, Ethan carried Noah upstairs and tucked him in. He asked Sophie if she wanted him to read tonight. She said yes. I stood at the hallway edge and listened to Ethan's steady voice through Sophie's door. I told myself he was putting on a show. I told myself he wanted the kids on his side. But when Sophie came out later, she hugged Ethan without looking at me. She said goodnight and asked if tomorrow could be normal. Ethan told her they would do their best. I went back to the kitchen and opened my phone. Grant had sent a message asking if I was okay. My thumbs hovered over the screen. I told myself I deserved someone who understood me, Then I looked up and saw Ethan in the doorway, watching quietly, and I felt like he already knew more than I wanted him to know. The fundraiser night came fast, like the week had no space to breathe. It was held at the community hall near the park, the one with bright ceiling lights and a long folding table that always smelled like coffee. Our charity had rented it, so I had a reason to be there. I told myself I was working. I told myself Ethan should be proud. I dressed like I was going to a better life than mine. I picked a simple black dress and shoes that clicked on the floor. I practiced my smile in the bathroom mirror. I said to myself that confidence was not a lie. I still think I was right about that part. Ethan drove us because parking was tight. The kids stayed with Marilyn for the evening. Marilyn said she could handle bedtime, and she said it without any drama. That calm tone annoyed me because it made me feel like she did not need me either. Ethan thanked her. I watched him thank her like it was easy. In the car, I tried to set a rule. I told Ethan he needed to be social tonight. He asked what that meant. I said it meant he needed to look happy for once. He asked why looking happy mattered more than being happy. I told him not to start that deep talk in the car. When we arrived, people were already inside, moving chairs and placing flyers. Jenna was there, of course, and she waved like we were a team. Claudia Whitmore arrived too, wearing a white coat and a smile that looked practiced. Brent came behind her, checking his phone like he was counting money even while walking. I introduced Ethan to a few donors. I said his name loud and clear, but I did not say much else. When one donor asked what Ethan did, I felt that old urge rise again, the urge to shape the story. I said he worked with wires and panels and home stuff. I said it like it was cute and simple. The donor nodded politely. Ethan's jaw moved once like he swallowed a word. He did not correct me. He did not embarrass me in front of donors. I should have appreciated that. Instead, I took it as weakness. Lisa, my manager, told me I would be asked to speak for 2 minutes later, just a short welcome. She said it would look good for me. I nodded and acted modest. Inside, I felt excited. A microphone was a kind of power. While the hall filled up, I saw Ethan stand near the back wall, close to the exit, like he did not want to be trapped. He looked at his phone once and put it away. His face stayed neutral. I wondered if he was texting someone. I told myself he had no one to text, because he was the quiet one, the limited one. That thought made me feel better for a second, and I hated myself for needing it. Jenna asked if Ethan was still sulking about the BBQ. I said yes, and I said he always did this thing where he acted wounded. I said it made me feel like I was walking on glass at home. Jenna shook her head and said I did not deserve that. I nodded like I had been wronged. Then Grant Hollis appeared at the edge of the room. He was not supposed to be there, but he was the kind of person who always had a reason. He wore a blazer and that smooth smile. He waved at me like we were friends, not a secret. My chest tightened. I told myself it was fine. I told myself I could manage it. Grant came over and asked how I was. I said I was busy and stressed. He asked if Ethan was behaving. I laughed softly and said, Ethan was Ethan. Ethan saw us from across the room. He did not walk over. He did not glare. He just watched for 1 second, then turned his head away. That calm reaction made my skin feel hot. I wanted him to react. I wanted him to prove he was jealous or irrational. If he did not, then I had to face the idea that I was the one causing chaos. When it was time to speak, Lisa handed me the mic. I stepped forward and looked at the crowd. Faces turned toward me. Claudia's phone lifted right away, recording. I could see it. I could feel it. I started with the charity mission and the thanks. Then I drifted into my favorite topic, the one I could control. How hard I worked, how I held things together. I said families needed leaders. I said support mattered, but ambition mattered too. I glanced toward Ethan, as if I was including him. I said something like, some people in our lives stayed comfortable with small work, while others pushed for growth. I did not say Ethan's name, but I did not need to. A few people laughed softly. Jenna smiled wide. Claudia's eyes sparkled like she had been fed. Ethan did not move. He did not storm out. He just looked at me with a steady face, like he was seeing me clearly for the first time. I felt a strange chill, even under the bright lights. After the speech, people clapped. Donors shook my hand. Claudia told me I was inspiring. Brent said it was a strong message. I thanked them like I was a professional. Ethan stood a few steps behind, quiet and polite, like a shadow I pretended was not there. On the way out, Kayla pulled me aside. She asked why Grant was here. I told her he was a contact. She asked why Ethan looked like that. I said Ethan was playing the victim again. Kayla said I was pushing too hard. I told her she did not understand the pressure I lived with. Kayla went quiet and looked away. In the car, Ethan drove in silence for most of the ride. The streetlights passed over his face in slow flashes. I watched his hands on the wheel. They were calm. Too calm. I asked him if he was going to punish me with silence again. He asked what I meant by punish. I said he used quiet to make me feel guilty. He said he was quiet because he was thinking. I said thinking was just another way to judge me. He asked why I mentioned small work in my speech. I said it was not about him. He asked who it was about then. I said it was about the truth, and if he felt hit, that was his problem. He asked if I liked seeing people laugh at him. I said I liked seeing people relaxed, and he ruined things with his mood. When we got home, the driveway light turned on as we pulled in. The house looked still, like it was waiting. Ethan got out and opened the trunk. He moved slowly, like he had all the time in the world. I saw his keyring again, with that new key. It caught the light. Inside, the kitchen was clean. The counter had a sticky note near the fridge that said, "Bring forms." No date, no name, just those words. I asked Ethan what it was. He said it was just a reminder for something boring. I asked what forms. He said household stuff. He said it like he did not want the conversation. I heard a soft click near the hallway, like a drawer locking. Ethan walked past me and put his phone on the counter. A short alarm buzzed once, and the screen flashed, "Paper drop." He turned it off fast. I stared at it and felt my throat tighten. I asked him what that was. He said it was a personal reminder. I said he was being secretive now. He asked if I wanted to talk about secrets. I said I had nothing to hide. My voice came out too quick, too sharp. Ethan took his mug from the cabinet and rinsed it. He did not use the mug near mine. He used another one, plain and heavy. He set it on the counter, away from my cup, like he was drawing a line without words. I told him he was acting cold on purpose. He asked if I could hear myself. I said he was the one changing. He said he had been changing for a while, but I only noticed now because it affected me. I stepped closer and asked if he was threatening me. He looked at me, tired but steady. He asked if I remembered how I spoke about him in front of people. I said I was just being honest. He nodded once, like he accepted that answer as evidence, not as an apology. Then he said, in the same calm tone he used with the kids, that he was going to handle this properly. The next morning, I walked into the office tower lobby like I still owned my life. The marble floors echoed under my shoes. I told myself Ethan was bluffing. I told myself he just wanted control. My phone buzzed with a message from Donna. She said Ethan was being cruel and dramatic and that I should not let him scare me. I held on to that like a shield. Then I saw Ethan across the lobby, near the glass doors, standing straight with his hands at his sides. He was not angry. He looked clean and rested. That scared me more than yelling would have. A man in plain clothes walked up to me and asked if I was Undine Parker. I said yes, sharp, like I could cut him away. He said he had legal documents for me and asked me to accept service. I felt heat rush to my face as people slowed down and stared. I took the papers. The first page said divorce petition, filed today, with temporary orders. It listed a custody schedule starting immediately and rules for money and the home. I looked up at Ethan and asked how he could do this in public. He said, calm, that it was proper, and that the kids would be picked up at the time written there.